It's August 4th here in Seoul, and I'm Kim Dami. We begin with these stories making the headlines at this hour, starting with emergency heat measures issued here in South Korea. It's gotten so hot that the country's disaster headquarters activated its Level 2 emergency operation for the first time due to a heat wave. The government has also allocated over $4.6 billion to help with heat-related issues. And half of the heat wave fund will go to South Korea's Saemangeum, where the 2023 World Scout Jamboree is taking place under extreme weather conditions. Safety concerns are rising with over 1,000 participants showing heat-related illness. In his third appearance in court in 4 months, former U.S. President Donald Trump once again pleaded not guilty to charges that he engaged in criminal charges aimed at overturning his 2020 election defeat. The weather has been suffocating this week. South Korea's Safety Ministry has now bumped up its emergency operation to a Level 2 for the first time ever because of heat. Now, Level 2 is issued when the apparent temperature is expected to be 35 degrees Celsius or higher in at least 108 regions for at least 3 days. The government has allocated 6 billion won, or around $4.6 million to prevent and overcome any damage caused by the heat wave. Now, half of that will be immediately used for the World Scout Jamboree to prepare emergency supplies for people suffering from heat-related illnesses. Over in Saemangeum, sweltering heat is cutting the fund short at the World Scout Jamboree. Participants are reporting heat-related sickness, with their home countries also staying on high alert. Moon Hae-ryun reports.
Hundreds of teenagers at the World Scout Jamboree taking place in Saemangeum on South Korea's west coast are struggling to participate in activities due to the heat wave gripping the country. Nearly 1,000 participants have reportedly been struck down by heat-related illnesses since the event began. At a press briefing on Thursday, the Secretary General of the organizing committee stated that the illnesses were mild, but some people were still being treated at external medical facilities. With the event scheduled to last until next Sunday, dozens more medical staff have been dispatched to the site. Officials have also promised to provide over 100 additional hospital beds for the temporary hospital tent that's been set up on site. 20 outdoor events have also been cancelled in order to prevent more casualties. South Korea's Ministry of the Interior and Safety responded by distributing half the government's newly announced funds to tackle heatwave-related issues to the scouting event. That amounts to 3 billion Korean won, or roughly $2.3 million, which will immediately be used to install additional cooling facilities, provide emergency supplies, and air-conditioned shuttle buses at the Jamboree. With the event being a global one with participants from 158 countries, the world's media has been reporting on the story, including the BBC and the New York Times. Countries with participating Scout delegations are also closely following the situation. The U.S. Embassy in South Korea reported that once they were made aware of the difficulties and dangers on site, they have been working alongside U.S. Forces Korea and the Boy Scouts of America to ensure the safety of the U.S. Scout delegation. The UK contingent is the largest, with 4,500 scouts out of the total of 43,000 participants, and a Foreign Office correspondent said it was in communication with both Scouts UK and Korean authorities to ensure the safety of British nationals. The Korea Meteorological Administration's forecast shows that temperatures are set to hover around the 35-degree mark in the region, where the event is being held through to the end. Moon Hae-ryun, Arirang News.
And farmers especially are going through one of the most difficult times, with their crops getting hammered by the heat. Now, it's even worse that they also have a much expected typhoon season to worry about. Shin Se-byuk reports.
Eggplants scattered all over the ground. These vegetables have withered under the high temperatures that have gripped South Korea. Farmers try to shield them from the heat, but it barely helps. The intense heat has caused the eggplants to lose their natural color, which impacts their quality and how many a farmer can sell. This year's yield is only 60% of what it was last year. And of those, 7 out of 10 boxes contain lower quality produce. It's been a double whammy for the farmers as the damage has only worsened after the monsoon season.
This year, extreme heat came right after the heavy rain, leaving the eggplants struggling to adapt and grow properly.
Soybeans are also feeling the impact. The same farmer has had to plant soybeans 5 times this year, much more than usual, and most of them have wilted early. Even those that managed to grow cannot fully ripen, falling victim to the relentless heat. It's not just the crops and vegetables that are struggling. Cattle are finding it tough to cope with the sweltering conditions. Farmers are trying to keep their cattle cool by running air conditioning units non-stop.
With this scorching weather, you can see a significant drop in the cattle's appetite. And it's not just that. It's also noticeably affecting their fertility rates.
Such extreme heat is deadly for farm animals. Exposure to extreme temperatures could result in heat stress and eventually death. According to the Ministry of the Interior and Safety, as of August 1st, over 150,000 farm animals have died due to the heat wave this summer.
The fully fledged typhoon season is expected soon, adding to the farmers' worries. Authorities fear that the damage will escalate, and so farmers are bracing themselves for what's to come. Shin Se-byuk, Arirang News.
North Korea has reportedly confirmed custody of U.S. soldier Travis King, who crossed the border from South Korea last month while on a guided tour. According to BBC, the U.S. UN command says the regime has made its first response to requests for information on his whereabouts. But the UN command did not give any more details to prevent any interference in its efforts to bring him home. This comes as the UN command, which policies the southern side of the demilitarized zone on the inter-Korean border, has sought information on King using its direct phone line to the North Korean army. Now, the regime has yet to publicly acknowledge custody of the soldier. Before crossing into the north, Travis King served 2 months in detention in South Korea and was due to face disciplinary proceedings in the U.S. Over in the U.S., former American leader Donald Trump has once again pleaded not guilty to charges that he conspired to overturn his 2020 presidential election loss. Let's turn to our Lee Seung-jae for details.
Not guilty. That's how former U.S. President Donald Trump responded Thursday when faced with charges of conspiring to overturn his 2020 presidential election defeat. The former president attended the arraignment at a Washington courthouse located just a kilometer away from the U.S. Capitol, where his supporters stormed on January 6, 2021, in a bid to stop Congress from certifying his defeat. Trump faces a total of 4 charges, including conspiracy to defraud the U.S., depriving U.S. citizens of their voting rights, and obstructing an official proceeding. The arraignment comes after a 45-page indictment on Tuesday, where Special Counsel Jack Smith accused the former U.S. leader and his allies of knowingly promoting false claims that the election was rigged while pressuring state and federal officials to alter the results of the 2020 presidential election. After his not guilty plea, Trump expressed his discontent, calling the move a political persecution.
When you look at what's happening, this is a persecution of a political opponent. This was never supposed to happen in America. This is the persecution of the person that's leading by very, very substantial numbers in the Republican primary and leading Biden by a lot. So if you can't beat him, you persecute him or you prosecute him.
The latest indictment marks the 3rd for Trump in just 4 months. He pleaded not guilty to New York State charges that he falsified documents in connection with hush money payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels in April, and also pleaded not guilty to federal charges that he retained classified documents after leaving office in June. However, there could be more charges for the former president, this time in the state of Georgia, as a state prosecutor is investigating his attempts to overturn the election lost there. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Many women in South Korea face years-long career breaks following marriage and giving birth. But there still are ways for them to go back to work and find a work-life balance. Our Lee Soo-jin has the story.
Women in South Korea who have been on long career breaks are determined to rejoin the workforce. But many, such as Pi Jin-won, have trouble figuring out how to do so, partly because of the changes that occurred during their time away.
Back when I first started working, most of the stuff was done manually. But when I came back, everything was computerized.
Women's participation in the workforce shows an M-shaped curve, meaning that the percentage employed plunges for women in their 30s. And the average time that it takes for those women to find employment again has increased from 7.9 years in 2019 to 8.9 years in 2022. So how can these women return to work sooner rather than later? Women like Pi Jin-won are turning to job training centers dedicated to shortening women's career breaks. This government-sponsored center in Seoul is just one of 18 that offers various job training for women. Pi, who has taken several classes at her local job training center, hopes to start an online business.
I want to feel accomplished by contributing to society before I get any older.
Classes that help women earn babysitting and barista certificates, as well as ones that teach them how to start online businesses, are just some of the options available. Cho Eun-rae successfully launched her own business after taking classes at one of these centers. Cho had a decade-long career gap before she started her own publishing company. She turns children's artwork and stories into books and publishes them so they can be sold at Kobo Books, the nation's biggest book chain.
Children can see that their work has economic value as they can earn copyright fees from having their books sold.
She says that one of the biggest perks of running her own company is that it allows her to have autonomy over her work hours. She typically works while her children are at school, and when they come home, she spends time with them and helps them with their homework. Working from home not only saves her on rent, but makes it easier for her to do everyday tasks, such as making snacks for her kid. And her favorite time of the day is when she gets to sit down and spend quality time with her son. She says that her goal is to one day hire other women like her.
I want to have a business that creates employment.
She also hopes that more women get the courage and opportunity to start their own companies. But starting their own business isn't the only option available to these women who want to return to work. There are areas that are facing severe workforce shortages, such as in the STEM field. Other institutions connect women on career breaks to positions in science fields and fund their research. One woman who successfully returned to work as a senior researcher through one such institution is Yang Seung-woo.
I've been able to publish SCI-grade journals and do government research. I also have colleagues that have been a huge source of strength.
The president of the institution that helped Yang rejoin the workforce as a senior researcher told us these women could help mitigate the STEM workforce shortage.
There's expected to be a shortage of 47,000 science and technology professionals by 2028, but there are currently about 190,000 women in the science field who are experiencing career interruptions.
She says that there is still much that can be done to shorten women's career breaks.
We need to up the effectiveness and usage of parental leave programs and encourage more men to take parental leave.
She said that it's crucial for these women to be actively supported not just by these institutions, but by their families. A greater awareness of the ways these women can contribute once they return to the workforce, along with the support to help them do so, will ultimately benefit the economy and society as a whole. Lee Soo-jin, Arirang News.
You're in South Korea and looking for ways to beat the heat this weekend? Then how about a 2023 Incheon Pentaport Rock Festival? Now it's South Korea's original rock festival with a grand lineup of artists. For more, we're joined by Mr. Sean Beck this morning. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, hello.
So you took part in the 2022 edition last year as an interpreter. Now, what was your experience like?
Yes, I worked as a stage interpreter at the Incheon Pentaport Rock Festival last year, and it was actually a very different atmosphere. I've worked as like a translator for concerts and other festivals like jazz festivals, but I mean, because it's a rock festival, it was like a totally different energy. And people were not just there to have like a good time, but they were really aggressively, trying to have a good time. So it was a very different experience, and I really enjoyed working there.
Sure, I hope that you did have some time to enjoy the festival yourself as well.
Actually, I was on stage, so I didn't get to like listen to music and see the performance, but on the other side, I get to see the crowd. I get to see the reaction from the crowd and how good of a time they're having. So yeah, I guess it was kind of like a different enjoyment, but yeah, definitely I had a good time.
That's good. Now, for our viewers who are not too familiar with this particular rock festival, what exactly is the Incheon Pentaport Rock Festival? Give us some background of the festival.
So Incheon Pentaport Rock Festival is the biggest rock festival in South Korea, and it started in the year 2006 and has continued since. And as the name implies, it's held in Incheon, and specifically at Songdo Moonlight Festival Park, which is like the park is designed for festivals. And actually, the Pentaport, word the Pentaport stands for 5 ports in Incheon, and one is Incheon International Airport, and Incheon Harbor, and Information Port, I guess it's Information Hub, and Leisure Port, and Business Port. And this year, it will be held from today, August 4th, to this Sunday, August 6th.
Sure. Now, what about the local and international acts that took place last year and I'm sure you were busy, pretty occupied last year, but who did you meet? Who did you find most enjoyable to watch? And what's this year's lineup, and which artists are you looking forward to the most in particular?
There were a few stage interpreters alongside with me, and we get to be on like one person on other stage and this person on that stage. So on my stage, I got to translate for the Vampire Weekend. Before actually last year, I actually didn't know much about the Vampire Weekend, but after meeting the production crew and watching the performance, I was really surprised. Not because the performance was just like great, but because how the production crew, they worked and they were really committed to their crafts, their stage designs and lightings and sound engineering. And I was really surprised how like of a high quality and a high standard they had. So it was really interesting to watch, not only like, the good side of this job is you get to see what's around. So it was really great to see the Vampire Weekend. And for this year, there are going to be a lot of Japanese bands like the LA Garden and Kyorinji are going to perform. And also the Strokes are coming to Korea in 17 years. So I guess a lot of Korean rock band fans are looking forward to that. And like local, Korean bands like Kim Changwon Band, 새소년, and the Black Skirt 검정치마 will be there too. So be excited.
Right, and this year it's actually going to be headlined by the Strokes. So I'm sure a lot of fans are looking forward to that as well.
Definitely.
Now, I'm sure you're really familiar with this. It's been so hot here in the country. Now, do you have any tips to share on how to enjoy a rock festival under the blistering heat safely?
Well, obviously, first of all, please stay hydrated. I saw in the Pentaport Rock Festival website that each person can bring up 5 bottles of water. So please bring water. And also at the festival, there are going to be medical booths and also cool zone, which is, I'm not sure, but like areas supplied with air conditioners and also sun shelters. So be sure and make sure to know where those places are, and whenever you get you need a break, please go there, and yeah, enjoy your time at the festival.
Indeed, staying hydrated is the most crucial thought to be keeping in mind. All right, Sean, thanks so much for joining us this morning. You have a good weekend.
Thank you. You have a good weekend too.
Good morning, I'm Matthew Ashley, and we now turn over to stories from around the world. We begin in Poland, where the Prime Minister has warned of potential provocations and sabotage actions from members of the Wagner mercenary group. Now, during a press conference in Suwałki on Thursday, Poland's Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki said that Wagner troops are moving towards a thin strip of land between Poland and Lithuania and could cross the border posing as migrants. He added that Belarus is hosting 4,000 Wagner fighters, and in a separate meeting said that Poland will increase the number of troops on its eastern border. This comes 2 days after 2 Belarusian helicopters allegedly entered Polish airspace during training exercises. Belarus denies the allegation. Now, a bus has crashed into a ravine in western Mexico, killing at least 17 people, including 3 children. 22 others have been injured. According to an official, the bus on Thursday drove off a highway near the city of Tepic and crashed into a 50-meter deep ravine. It's not clear what caused the accident. The bus was carrying around 40 people and was bound for Tijuana. This comes a month after another crash in southern Mexico left 29 people dead, while 17 were killed in a crash in central Mexico in February. Now, the group stages of the Women's World Cup came to a close, with Germany crashing out of the tournament. The 2-time world champions were knocked out after a 1-1 draw against South Korea in Brisbane on Thursday. Morocco beat Colombia 1-0 in Perth, meaning Morocco finished above Germany to reach the round of 16 for the first time. Germany striker Alexandra Popp said she can't comprehend Germany's exit. Morocco will face France in the round of 16, while Group H winners Colombia will face Jamaica. And finally, Somalia suspended its Athletics Federation chairwoman on Wednesday after a video went viral of a Somalian female sprinter performing poorly at the World University Games. Now, the video taken on Tuesday shows 20-year-old Nasra Abukar trailing far behind her competitors in the 100-meter sprint, taking over 21 seconds to finish. Abukar was reportedly given the chance to compete at the Games in the Chinese city of Chengdu, as she is a relative of the suspended official.
Good morning. Korea bakes under searing heat wave, with heat warnings remain in place in most of the country. Gangneung had another super tropical night, with temperatures staying above 30 degrees Celsius last night, and do expect that unbearable heat this afternoon. Those in southern provinces need to have a small umbrella handy. 5 to 60 millimeters of sudden rain is in the forecast, along with thunder and lightning. However, it's going to be another sunny day in the capital, with an expected high of 35 degrees Celsius. Even Busan stays very hot at a high of 34 degrees. Puan County will have a high of 36 degrees Celsius, about 97 degrees Fahrenheit, with a chance of passing rain in the afternoon. High heat continues to engulf much of Korea through next week, so please take well care. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
We thank you for watching New Day at Arirang. We'll be back next week because it's Friday. Stay cool.